Supermoon Tarot, and in today's video we're going to be looking at powerful messages from your spirit guides. As you know, I am a very passionate fan of spirit guides. They have completely changed my life, being more aware that they've always been in it and being able to work with them one-on-one. One of the reasons why I love working with them so much is they are always looking to help you become the best version of you, whatever you and your unconsciousness feel that is. So it's extremely individual. Everybody's got different goals, different mindsets, things they want to accomplish in their life or overcome. Everybody has got a different way to getting to wherever they want to get to, even if the goals are similar, because you have your own past and whatever you experienced and affected you up to this point. And the cool thing is, spirit guides have been there every single step of the way. So when they're giving you a response, it's extremely well thought out. They have seen and understood and been there firsthand to see whatever you have experienced to be able to understand what it is you need. They also are extremely educated from basically they've lived forever, essentially. So both personal experience, they help many people, a lot, on the billions throughout all of time, but also they have an extensive knowledge from their own personal abilities and access to the Akashic records. And so when they go to answer you, they have done an enormous amount of research because they are able to foresee different timelines and in the future. So by the time you're calling on them, even if you're requesting their help many times a day, and you are more than welcome to do that, they have infinite knowledge, infinite energy, infinite love. They're totally game for that. But they have done quite a bit of research up to that point. So yeah, I love them because they will get right to it. They will tell you, as very much as I talk about with tarot all the time, you'll get what you need, not what you want. Technically, the beautiful thing with spirit guides is you get both. You know, they're happy to help you get to your goals, but definitely love them for definitely giving you answers where you're like, oh, okay, I didn't know that was important. And then you go and work on that, and then you're like, oh wow, that positively affected the thing that I did want. And you're like, cool, thank you. So they're fantastic. I love them for that reason. We're going to be going over that today in today's reading, but if you are interested in supporting me, I actually have a Patreon where I offer a lot of exclusive content. The amount of videos I have over there is extensive. I even have a really cool directory, so it makes it extremely easy to find past and new videos of your choosing, so you can just kind of pick and choose what you want to enjoy. But for now, I just posted 2 new exclusive videos over there. One of them is actually for the month of October, is about me crossing over some people that are no longer here. People that are stuck basically in the veil. It's really important to do that. I do a live session where I go over talking to the individuals who've passed. I figure out what they need in order to cross them over, and I help them cross over, and I show that entire process. So it's both educational, but I think when you have these type of experiences, it's really beautiful, and it makes you feel more connected to society. I personally feel it helps you see the world in a bigger way, at least in my own personal experience. And the other video I posted was a continuation. I'm so happy everyone's vibing over there on Patreon, of breaking down the major arcana. This time we do the Fool card, but the reason why my major arcanas are special is after I go into extensive conversation about all the different ways you can perceive it and help extend your ability in reading the cards and maybe viewing it in a different way, I then channel the archetype of the Fool, because the thing that's really wild we've learned over on my Patreon is that these archetypes have existed way before tarot existed. So I think that's really fun and wild. In addition to that, if you were actually interested in speaking to your spirit guides directly as well, I have an intuition training course where it goes into how to get to the spirit realm, how to talk to your spirit guides, but here's the important part about that course: how the non-physical and the physical world overlap, how you can better understand that and then use that in your daily life for your benefit. I still use these techniques to this very day. I'm very passionate about both of these courses, but this is something I'm very passionate about. So that's available over my website or in the description below. And I also have a tarot training course. As you know, I love tarot. I think it's extremely helpful and a beautiful pairing with the intuition training course as well. And there we go over how to look at the cards and be able to see all the details and look at it in new, nuanced, almost poetic ways while not losing any of the details. So it's like we simplify the process. You can get right into the cards reading right away. I have it all set up so you can go into reading the cards, but you don't have to sacrifice all the little intricate things you can look into it for. So again, that's in the description below, but other than that, let's get back to the reading. So we have 4 groups in front of us. Group number 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm going to give you a moment to pick the card group that you resonate with most. Now that you've done that, let's go down to the description for your designated group and mark timestamp, and let's get started with group number 1. Group number 1. Let's find out that powerful message from your spirit guides by looking at the cards. Your oracle card is Magic Prayer upright, 9 of Cups in reverse, 8 of Pentacles upright, the Devil card upright, and 5 of Wands upright. Yeah. Ooh, I'm getting a clear flavor. Okay, give me just one moment to look at the details of these cards and to consult my spirit guides. Okay. I love how this is sort of, how do I say this? There is overlap. Like there's a feeling of one thing sort of affecting the other, as you'll often see in these readings. It just happens. Go figure. All of life is connected. But they're still very separate. It's like you can see how there's the slight relationship or resonation between them. But yeah, so anyways, I just always think that's great to see because it helps give some clarity when things start to feel fuzzy and disconnected, or you feel like you have a bunch of separate issues going on. So going back on, let's start with the Oracle card Magic Prayer. So first off, this is about the idea that I love how on the nose this is, that your spirit guides are more than happy to help you accomplish anything it is you want to accomplish. They are fantastic for calling upon. Again, I highly recommend speaking to them directly through going to the spirit realm or tarot. Both I have in my courses below in the description, but you get what I'm saying. Because we're not just talking about saying like, hey, can you please make this happen? You can do that too. You're more than welcome to it. But often the effect is a lot stronger if you're more aware of the process. Because one, often when you need that and you're like, hey, can you help me? I want to make this happen, or I need help having something removed, or I'm feeling this way. Can you help my emotions or something like that? So on and so forth, whatever it is you need. It can help because they can be like, well, this is where you should focus on, or here's an idea, or think of it this way, or as they're doing that work, they're removing something, and you see them actively removing it, it helps you deeper connect to it and then feel the effects that much stronger and better. So highly recommend those directly. So one, you're welcome to work with them for literally anything, whether it be understanding yourself, relationships, career, literally creativity, individual issues, anything. Like really just, there's no holds bars when it comes to working with them. But also this card is about something else. It's about the idea of connecting to your higher self specifically. And I did double check because interestingly enough, if you become more familiar with the spirit realm and therefore get deeper into the cosmos and yourself, you will find there's actually many different versions of yourself that you can actually visit hands-on. So I was asking, do you mean higher self? Do you mean your inner being? You know, there's different versions. And I was told specifically your higher self. Your higher self is really interesting because that version of yourself has so many different I guess flavors is the best way I can put it. Because like I've met some people's higher self and they seem very serious compared to the individual that, you know, I'm working with. Some are a little more, what's the word? Like kind of got this like strong like classiness to them. I mean, it's so interesting. But this is the version of you that's like making the best possible decision for yourself. They are able to see the situation as a whole. They're very mature because they are able to make decisions that maybe sometimes when you're in that mindset, you're like, no, I don't know how, I don't want to do that, or no, but why this? I wanted that, you know, that kind of concept. And your higher self is like, well, I'm already looking at the bigger picture. I know this is the best option for us. I'm you. You know, so on and so forth, and able to connect to that. And it's the version of you that has a great sense of clarity and understanding and is able to make the tough choices. It's not always associated with difficulty. I'm just saying that. Anyways, so this is about connecting to your higher self, which I'm going to get to in just one moment. And also being able to connect to the idea of, again, what we said in the very beginning of the intro, getting and releasing your sort of biases of what you would like to happen in the order in which you want it to happen, and being more comfortable with accepting that you're going to get what you need, you will get it, and it might not necessarily be what you want. So let's talk about the higher self, and then we'll go into the other one real quickly. So when it comes to the first one we were just describing, you can do this through meditation, where you really connect with the intention of that. Sometimes it's just enough to deeply connect for a while with that, and you're picking up the energy. You might even, though, pick up messages. Remember, messages and communication works in a variety of ways. So if you're setting the intention like you would like to communicate with your higher self, you might get it through like pictures or images that you might mistake for just a passing thought, or just kind of like a fantasy in your head, but in reality you're getting, you know, answers, responses that you have to break down and sort of pull apart the deeper meaning into. You might get a full-on audio message, or maybe you might see it like writing in your head or something like that. You are also welcome to do it through tarot, and if you want, you know what, I might do a higher self reading. Let me know in the comments below if you want me to do that for my next reading. That might be a good idea to like add to this process. But you can actually, again, I'm very pro doing this. It's so wonderful to go that next level. Again, you can go to the spirit realm and you can directly talk to your higher self, and they can kind of give it to you straight. You can do in spirit realm meditations where they sort of throw their energy into you, and you are able to deeper like realize that that's already in you, and therefore better understand what that means, and then therefore better enact that in your regular life for your benefit. That's also, as you can see, a very helpful method as well. So these are all techniques that work, talking through tarot, spirit realm, meditation, all that good jazz. But you want to regularly do that. I would highly recommend picking a point in the day that's convenient for you, and like every day for 10 to 20 minutes, you're going to deeply either, you know, go to the spirit realm, talk through tarot, meditation, whatever works for you, and your intention is to connect to your higher self in order to use that to your benefit, whether that be through energy or straight up guidance. When we talk about the need and want, though, that's really important, because sometimes we're going to be told things from our spirit guides, when we're connecting, and they're going to be like, do this, do that. And you're like, but I want this. And little do you know, there's sort of this bigger plan working out. Again, you're choosing it, you're picking it. Spirit guides are just helping make it happen, or they're seeing the bigger picture and helping giving you the pieces so you can be a part of it more. But if you're only saying, here's a bunch of like pathways there, right? But if you have that attitude of saying like, I wanted it to work out like this, you're basically creating this very tiny straw funnel tunnel situation. And that's it. That's the only way you can squeeze through. And so if you don't fit, you can't sit there. It will just make the process of getting what you want so much more difficult. But little do you know, so let's say it's money you want, right? You might be like, but I want this. And little do your spirit guides are going, well, you should probably focus on this part of yourself. And you're like, what does this have to do with this? And slowing down and saying, okay, well, if they say this is important, let me try it out. And you give it attention, whatever it is, and you focus on it. You will find that's the thing that's unblocking this, and your sort of small straw funnel situation goes into an enormous giant pathway or multiple pathways, and you just didn't even know these were the options. And so not only do you then get what you want, but maybe the pathway getting there is much more enjoyable or better scenario than you knew it could be. And maybe no matter how it is getting there, maybe when you get there, instead of just getting that one thing you wanted, you get that and so much more and even more options, all because you were told like, hey, this is the focus. And I'm telling you this right now, as someone who has done their own fair share of personal growth, trust me, it will, as you work on it, it will seem far less mysterious, and you'll learn to be in that trusting process and be able to be more self-aware of when you get the information of like, do this, you're like, I see why you want me to do this, because it will equal that. You see what I'm saying? So again, it's that letting go, being like, okay, if this is what I need to do, I'm going to trust in it. I don't understand it now. I will in time. So remember all that. It's a lot. You can work with your spirit guides, whatever, connect to your higher self, and also need versus want, but still technically getting what you want. Anyways, going on, that concept actually continues over, and you can see where there's some resonation with this, with the Nine of Cups in reverse. So one thing that's actually wonderful is things are actually going way better in your life than you may be aware of. And that's important. We're going to discuss in one moment. But the problem here is when we have a Nine of Cups in reverse, normally when it's upright, it's an extremely positive card. It's called the wish card. It's like you get exactly what you want. But when it's in reverse, it implies like you got a lot of what you wanted. You got like 99% of what you wanted. Or, we'll say 85%, whatever. We don't want to be picky here. But you're so focused on the slight little details that didn't work out in the way you wanted. You're so focused on, like, let's say you got a fantastic partner, right? But you just really don't like that they're into this one thing. You find it kind of not your thing. It's a little frustrating, and you're just so focused on it. Or maybe you're upset that you don't share the same interest. It's a particular interest you were hoping to share with them, and they don't have that interest. And you're not aware that the vast majority of the time you get along together, you enjoy what they have to say, they enjoy what you have to say, you just don't share this like one interest. You know what I'm saying? And you're kind of not allowing yourself to enjoy what you're receiving and what's going on around you because you're so focused on that. And it's about letting that go. Now, here's the thing though, when we have a Nine of Cups reverse situation, depending on where you're at, sometimes it's really strong. Like you might look around your life and go, I don't know what you're talking about. Nothing is going well. And you just really cannot see it and connect to it. And that is such a non-fun place to be in. I would not want that for you, essentially, because there's just a complete disconnect in being able to be aware of that. Now, I'm not saying that that's what you're going through. I'm just saying it can be, like, in extreme cases, pretty intense. And little do you know, it's like, what do you mean? Like, you got a great place to live, you got great friends, things are actually more convenient in your life than you're, like, really aware of at the moment. Things are constantly coming your way. You're just kind of being picky, you could say, and viewing that pickiness as sort of like an end-all be-all over, like, oh no, I didn't get what I wanted. And that's an extreme case, but it happens, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with you. It just happens, and you reconnect to your life and yourself. And so again, this is about letting go of what's that little small percentage. So again, it's okay that you have, it's not about settling. I want to be clear about that. But you should definitely try to exercise, is what your spirit guides are saying. Basically, you want to exercise the best you can, focus on what is working. And starting to use a bit of that practical mindset of being like, is it so terrible? Or do you feel like it's a little more convenient than other circumstances you've been in your life previously? And maybe it's actually kind of nice. And just seeing those little pieces in your life through your career, your relationships with different people, so on and so forth, and just constantly checking back in with that and saying it out loud, connecting to it, writing down. And you want to exercise that more in your thought process rather than what didn't work out. Now, I'm happy to say it's not about settling. You can get everything you want, and even more. We can turn that Nine of Cups into a full upright position. But right now you need to sort of practice the ability of realizing things are better than you may realize, and then therefore enjoying it, which is great. And again, remember, I want to be really clear about this when it comes to the Nine of Cups before I move on. This would not show up, this is not like you being ungrateful. This would not show up if you weren't having a pretty good life. Some people have really great attitudes and have a sort of gratefulness and appreciation about life, even though their circumstances maybe are not the best. But they're like exercising that, and that's fantastic. This would not show up if it wasn't pretty good. So we're not just talking about like perspective or viewpoint, or you could say that, like, oh, well, that's one way you could say, or things are great, and it's just about connecting to that. So moving on, we have the Eight of Pentacles upright. So I love this imagery. This is such a fantastic imagery to focus on. And it's a different way of viewing the Eight of Pentacles in general. I'm definitely viewing it differently from this perspective. So as you can see, we have this beautiful little bird here. Oh, if there's any bird parents in the watching this, feel free to write down below about your little baby. I actually don't ask about this enough, but I'm a huge animal enthusiast. So if you have a cat or a dog or a bunny or an iguana, I am down with all of them. Please share in the comments below. I love it. So anyways, going on to the Eight of Pentacles again. So we have this individual, this little bird, building a nest, and they're building around these pentacles that are representing money. And so as they work hard, and remember, we're focusing on the concept of work. It's not that you are working, it's the way in which you're working. They are essentially building these little incubation tanks. They're giving a home so the pentacles don't fly away or gravity doesn't take them, so to speak. So this is the idea of you focusing on how you're working. Again, not just that you're working every day or however much you work, but connecting to the way in which you're working is actually going really fantastic right now. And that is the way that's your method right now, you could say, for, I guess you could say, manifesting, bringing in more money, connecting and having more money. It's sort of that inner connection and trust within yourself and your abilities that you're building that then tells the universe, yep, I'm always going to have money. Yep, keep sending me money. And again, what you're focusing on is this idea of that the way in which you accomplish your tasks at work is like you're building a nest, proverbially, around your money. You're creating a home for it. You're creating a security with it. You're creating a safety with it. You're basically telling the universe and yourself, I can trust I'll always have money. I'm keeping it. I'm saving it for later. But we're not just talking about what you have right now financially, right now resource-wise, and you'll always have it. We're talking about building upon that. It's more of the inner trust that you'll always have it. So again, how you're working right now, you're doing fantastic. Keep doing that, but you're just going to mentally be like, this right now is how I'm manifesting money. Every day I'm going to work, every time I accomplish a task, I am building a little more of that nest. Because I know, therefore, what I'm doing is of such value, and I'm doing such a good job that people always want to work with me, always get enough hours. This will build towards opportunities in the future, and it's happening right now. And I'm just going to relax and know, like, all I got to do is keep doing right now on the daily, and that's just going to keep attracting more and more money, and so on and so forth. Now, I do want to say it's about connecting to that, but knowing that this is just the way you're manifesting now. Understand that the way we manifest changes throughout our lifetime constantly. And so right now, what you're doing is enough, but it's about connecting that it's enough and understanding that it's more than being like, okay, I go to work and I get a paycheck. Cool. It's like, no. You have some maybe worries and concerns about in the long term. Don't worry. You're doing it right now. You're literally in the motion of the long term right now. What you're doing now will continue to add up. Eight of Pentacles has a huge subtext for skills and details, which basically means that if you have the skills and you're a detailed worker and you see all those little things, basically people will always want to have you around as an asset. So again, it's not just about receiving money you have now. It's about attracting more through this process and being more self-aware that it is a process happening, and then it also adding up in the long term. So love that for you. You're doing really fantastic in a lot of parts of your life. It's just most of this reading is about like connecting to it and being more a part of the process of connecting to it, which is fantastic. Also, being just aware of certain things to feel more comfortable and enjoy it. And therefore, as you're more aware of it, attracting more positive stuff. So love that for you. So going on to the Devil card. Now, unfortunately, this gets a little serious. So as you can tell, this would be you represented by the praying mantis heading into sort of a Venus flytrap, if you will. We're going to use this as an example. And this is where you're headed. You feel that at the bottom of this Venus flytrap, there is a star. And this star represents this concept of like, that's the thing I want. This is what I'll get. I'll get this if I go into it. Now, as you all know, these plants, well, they eat whatever bugs go inside them, whatever being goes inside them. So it's a trap, essentially. It's an idea like, oh, if I just do this, if I just go a little further, if I just go a little deeper, I'll get it, and then everything will work out. But in reality, you're not even going to make it there because you're going to essentially be poisoned along the way and you're not going to make it, essentially. Now, again, don't worry, that's not scary confirmation of, we talked about all this positive stuff, you can get what you want, everything's cool, you're going to get there, but unfortunately, this is associated, my spirit guide said, to vices. So there are some things that you're sort of connecting to or perpetuating. This is associated with unhealthy habits, and you keep practicing it over and over again in hopes that it will get you closer to this. Again, we talk about the star. It will make you feel this certain type of way that can help you do the best version of yourself, something else, those type of things. And unfortunately, it's a losing game. One of the biggest things, image-wise, my spirit guide was showing me is it's this idea that you're viewing that this star, again, this concept, this thing, this whatever it is you're trying to move towards, is hidden in maybe another Venus flytrap or outside of the Venus flytrap. It's almost like you're viewing it as something out of side of you and that you need to reach for it and get it. When in reality, we want to pull you away from this mindset, because not only is it not going to make you feel good now, but in the long term, it can seriously add up to something that will in fact do the opposite and pull you away from the things that you would like. So we're focusing more on this concept that you're going to not view it as, where is the star? You're going to pull away. You're going to practice the things we talked about, being like, yeah, okay, every time I'm doing work, it's adding up. Every time I'm working, it's manifesting more money. Cool. Okay, life's better than I realize. I'm connecting to it. You're in a totally different headspace. You're sort of losing sight, if you will, of the star, and you're just focusing your energy somewhere else. Now, little do you know, connecting to your spirit guides, all that good jazz, little do you know, and this is where it gets really cool, you essentially are going to connect to the star being inside yourself being aware of that, and then being able to be so aware of it, you can utilize it to do what you want. And it being a much more calmer, relaxing, happier process. But again, it's that awareness, it's that sort of lie we tell ourselves, that mantra we tell ourselves, oh, if I just go a little further, if I just do this one more day, this will be the answer. When it's like, no, you're totally, if this is the area in which you'll get everything you want, you're sort of outside of it. You're playing a game with yourself that doesn't lead anywhere, essentially. So this is something sort of serious. But again, one of the best ways you can deal with this, besides, when it comes to handling these type of things, that's sort of like a big end question. There's many things that help pull us out of it. But one of the biggest things is when you find yourself telling yourself like, oh, just a little further, just, one more, just a little, you have to pull yourself out and go, these thought process, these ideas, they don't lead me anywhere. They haven't. They're not making me feel better. I need to try something else. I can try something else because I've already exercised looking in this direction and it's not taking me there where I want to go. So we're going to do something different. And when you find yourself sort of trying to trick yourself and again say, okay, I'm going to go over it, you have to just be like, nope, we already did this. I know it seems tempting, but we're going to go over here. We're going to try something else. Also, one of the best things ever in my life was whenever you're sort of in a rut, do the total opposite. Do the total opposite. Do what you usually wouldn't think to do. It really just, I don't know why, but it just helps so much. Go figure. Now, last but not least is the Five of Wands. And I can tell you right now, I already feel sort of an anxiety, if you will, from you. Okay, so the Five of Wands in this particular case is not about individuals having disagreements and arguments against each other. It's more of this inner energy in yourself and you're feeling pulled around by your own self. What do I mean by that? You feel like, oh, I gotta go do this. No, I want to go over this. Maybe this was a good idea. Maybe this was a bad idea. And you're just feeling pulled back and forth. The Five of Wands is super uncomfortable and not the experience you necessarily want to have. No one loves it. I think it's actually a great explanation for just general anxiety, to be honest with you. But here's the thing. The reason why you're feeling that way is with the Five of Wands, there's not really a solution in the way it's working out right now. No one's really backing down. You can't seem to stop yourself from pulling yourself both ways because you can sort of make an argument or a temptation to pull either way of I want to go this way, I want to go that way. And so it's never going to win. You're never going to find the answer that you're looking for that sense of relief amongst this sort of discussional back and forth with the method in which you're practicing it now. So, first off, my spirit guide said, go visit them. Go visit them. They're going to help you. Wait, visit them or higher self? Let me just check. Both, I'm being told. Okay. So, you do both, but you're going to go to the spirit realm or you're going to go into meditation and you're going to set the intention to speak to your spirit guides and your higher self. And do not worry if you're choosing meditation and you're not sort of experienced in that way or in order to pick up individual messages from them. Just you're setting the intention, just know they're there to rock with you and hang out with you. And what you're going to do is you're going to slow down the process and we're going to just pick one thought or feeling. We're just going to focus on it. And it can be, I'd probably recommend, if I'm being honest with you, if you feel like you're going back and forth a couple concepts, just pick a totally new concept. If you're thinking about blue and red, pick a square. You know what I'm saying? If you're thinking about 1 and 2, think about a flower. Totally out of the equation. And you're going to think about that concept and feeling or whatever. And you're just going to sit in it. You're going to sit in it. You're going to think about every single avenue about it. You're going to think about, does it have an energy? Maybe you pick something simple, like maybe there's a tree near you, maybe in your backyard or locally close by. And you're just going to think about that tree. You're going to connect to that tree. You're going to think about its energy. You're going to think about what it looks like. You're going to think about all the details. And you're just going to be lost in meditation for a good 10 to 20 minutes. And basically what you're doing is you're pulling yourself out of this back and forth energy. And you're slowing it down. You're slowing it down. you're breathing, you're hanging out, you're vibing, you're just keeping it one step at a time, and you're just getting yourself on sort of a singular energy wave. That's all you're doing. We're not talking about avoiding problems. We're just saying that maybe you can't come at it from the clearest head until you sort of pull yourself together in, again, no wonder you feel pulled back and forth. Your energy in the Five of Wands is going here, 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 here. It's super uncomfortable. Anyone would feel the same way. It's very understandable to have this reaction. So with the tree, or whatever it is you want to focus on, you're saying, okay, this is my singular energy wave. I'm chilling out. I'm connecting to it. I'm feeling like I'm not being pulled apart. I'm in one piece. So on and so forth. And you might even, to be honest with you, sometimes we worry about things we don't need to worry about. Maybe that will just pull you out of that mindset and you'll be like, you know what? I don't need to think about it right now. Everything's cool. I'm overthinking future ideas that I don't need to think about right now. So that's just a thought too. But anyways, I love this for you. This is fantastic. We're talking about getting focused, feeling that sense of awareness of how great things are, to build upon that, being aware of things we're already doing right now in order to manifest more. So it's a lot of like, a big thing I would notice for your reading is, yes, there are some things to actively work on and redirect your attention, but for the most part, one of the coolest things is it will make you view life in a totally different way. Something really powerful I've personally experienced with like spirit realm stuff is the more you're self-aware of the process of how life is working out with you and what it all means and that type of stuff, the more you can actually use it to your advantage. It's like you didn't even know you were playing guitar and suddenly you're like, oh wow, I'm playing guitar, and then you can pick the song you want, you can change the style of it and then do so much more with it. That's very much the idea and concept here. So that was that was a long one, but I'm happy to do it. I love it. I loved this reading, and I hope you loved it too. I hope you feel very excited about the things you're going to focus on and connect to. And remember, practice these things regularly, and it all comes together. I love you. I love your spirit guides. And please leave this video a like, comment, what is it? Like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you can see all my videos. I'm wishing you the best. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. And let's get ready for group number 2. Group number 2. Let's look at your powerful messages from your spirit guides by looking at the cards. We have your oracle card, Spirit of Place, 8 of Swords in reverse, 7 of Cups upright, 6 of Swords in reverse, and the Justice card in reverse. I am seeing some things associated with one another. Yeah, this feels super, like they're all related. I can hear my spirit guide, they were like, they are. Yeah, okay, give me just one moment to look at the details of these cards as well as consult my spirit guides. Okay, yeah. Okay, this one's going to be a very cathartic one for you. If I were to put like a theme to this particular reading, I would say you were right all along. It might initially be difficult at first because sometimes we, at certain points in our life, we're in certain thinking patterns, habits, belief systems. Remember, these change throughout our lifetime. So initially, because of these things, it might feel difficult to change them or practice a different way of thinking or seeing yourself or the situation. But you can do it. and it is very possible. But ultimately, it's about connecting to that concept we were just saying before, that you were right all along, and better understanding how it sort of all ended up in this circumstance. So let's get into this. So first, starting off with, again, going with sort of the thesis card, if you will, we have the Spirit of Place Oracle card in reverse. Now, this is the idea about trusting your intuition, but specifically the concept that something is sort of distracting you. Maybe it's seducing you. There's something about it pulling your attention and being like, ooh, look over here. Don't look at this. Look over here. This is what it is. You think that, and you're like, no, what's that? What's that going on over there? No, don't look at that. It's very much that type of energy where things can pull you in a different direction to make you see what you want to see, and the reality is something else. So there's something, and I was trying to ask more details about this, but my spirit guide was like as in you, like, you'll know what it means. So for what I'm reading from this, from subtext wise, this is very much similar energy-wise to, let's say you unfortunately have a partner who keeps being like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, this is how I feel, but then you never actually see the results of that in their actions. You know, they don't text you more, they don't treat you a certain kind of way, and out of like love and respect. You feel like you're kind of waiting around for them. You feel like you're not quite sure what's going on in their life, but they know about your life, and you try to express these concerns, and they're like, no, don't worry about it, everything's okay, like that, you know, this is how it really is. And you're like, huh, really? Mia, you know what, I am being judgmental, I am. And they sort of put you in essentially a situation where you're not believing what is actually happening. So again, it's the, oh, look how nice this sounds. Doesn't it sound nice I could be like this? Doesn't it sound nice that this is the way it could be? And in reality, their actions don't follow through, and it's not what it is. They're not offering it to you, they're not changing. And that's very much the way it can be in any circumstance. That's just one example of that concept of being like, ooh, doesn't this sound nice? To distract you from the truth. Now, the cool thing with this card is it's got a great subtext and talks in detail about the idea of, like, in the end, you know what's going on. You know yourself, you know the truth, you will always find your way to the truth, and that ultimately, in the end, it will always be revealed and you will connect to it. While you are heading naturally towards that path, you can exercise right now trusting your intuition, trusting your gut. Those little inklings, those feelings, those were right. You might have been sort of tricked or pulled into a direction of, look over here, because again, this sounded so nice. That doesn't mean you were wrong. Now, I do want you to consider this when thinking about this card as a whole. That doesn't mean the things that sounded nice you can't eventually have, again, when we're using that example of another person with someone else, or have that scenario in another situation. You can have dreams and want to move towards them. But if you're not seeing it in the circumstance that is, again, you have a boss. Oh, I'm going to give you this, I'm going to give you that. And you're just not seeing it. And you see them giving that offer to someone else, you feel like you're getting the, what's the word? Worse hand? Is worser? I don't think worser is a word. A worse hand compared to someone else, despite their promises. Now's the time to check in and go, this isn't working, but I can still have those wants, dreams, and desires and bring them to another employment. You see what I'm saying here? So again, it's about trusting intuition and then therefore pulling yourself out of what I would describe as like a spider web of keeping you in a scenario you're not really loving just because the idea of what could be sounds nice. Trusting, better connecting to yourself, but then also taking your dreams and desires. And remember, every situation is something of value. This is a great time to be like, oh, wow, well, then it did help me reconfirm what I do want. And then I'm going to go tell the universe what I do want, and I'm going to go get it. You see what I'm saying here? Now, moving on, you're going to see a really interesting overlap between these ideas and this idea, and it's sort of meeting in the middle over here. So with the Seven of Cups upright and the Eight of Swords in reverse, this is super interesting what my spirit guide was saying. So first we're going to look at the narwhal over here. Interestingly enough, I'm pretty sure I'm right about this. I'm just like double check this, but I'm pretty sure I'm right about this. This is actually not a horn. This is their tooth. They have a very long tooth that comes out of their mouth and appears like a horn. Now, the thing with the way my spirit guide was describing this is they said, this narwhal doesn't want to put anyone in harm's way with this. We're going to just call it a horn for now, just for the sake of conversation. They don't want to poke anyone, essentially. But they won't, based on sort of how they're navigating themselves through the ocean and how they're kind of dodging things. They're very conscious of where it is and how they don't want it to affect other people. But there's something interesting about that concept and how it relates over here. In the Eight of Swords in reverse, my spirit guide said that you're unnecessarily creating walls between yourself and others. Now, I want to be clear here. It's okay to, so again, we use this metaphor again. Someone's not lying to you, essentially. It's okay to go, I want you out of my life. You're not for me. This isn't working. You're always going to create sort of what could be and not what is. That's a different type of wall. This is more of like a wall of inner power, we're going to say, kind of concept. The full potential of who you are. Let me just double check with my spirit guide that that's accurate. Okay, my spirit guide said that's completely accurate. No, they said that's absolutely accurate. But they said it also is about inner power and opinions. So that's sort of like there's a part of you that is shielding yourself off. Now, why are you shielding yourself off when it's not necessary? Over here, remember, things have like multiple spiritual meanings, but one of the spiritual meanings when it comes to like a tooth is this sense of your root inner power, your core of like what's at the very root, again, not to use that word redundantly, of what gives you your strength and that pizzazz of yourself that really shines. What's the starting point, you could say, the core of it, so to speak. And then remember, this is like a different core than like your inner being or your higher self. It's kind of hard to explain because the vocabulary might be similar, but I'm telling you this right now, they're very different. But anyways, all you need to know, it's the root. I find when it comes to this spiritual meaning with a tooth, it refers to physical realm concepts. So there's sort of like spiritual roots where you can feel it through your being in an inexplainable way, sort of an essence that comes out of you. And you can tell when you're really charged in it and you're really in the flow. But then there's the type of root where it's like in the physical realm where it's like trusting yourself, giving yourself permission to be the best version of yourself, core ideas and ways you express yourself on the regular, that type of like very describable concepts. Like, I know they're intangible, but like they're more something you can define in the physical world compared to the essence of something that permeates through you on a spiritual level. You see what I'm saying? Anyways, so when we put these two concepts together, we're bringing it all together now. There's this idea where you have way more power and like an inner light, so to speak, something of value that's almost, I don't want to say dominating because you wouldn't use it in that way towards others, but when you come into a space, if you were really unleashing this true potential of yourself, you would take notice, people would care about your opinions, you would sort of be, again, a light that couldn't be ignored, so to speak. And it's much more intense, and there's a part of you that almost kind of knows that on an unconscious level, but you've sort of been putting it down for so long that you've started to lie to yourself and be like, it's like you're half acknowledging it and wanting to hide it and prevent it from coming into other people's spaces, but you've put it down for so long, you're also simultaneously being like, I don't have any, I'm not good enough. It's kind of both of those energies happening at once. Anyways, so this is you saying like, I'm aware that if I truly shined, it would be almost intrusive in other people's spaces. But this is the word your unconsciousness is viewing it as. Again, when we view this sort of it as a when we view it as like this tooth is quite invasive. It would be quite intense for you to get like poked by it. You know what I'm saying? So this is the way you're viewing it, as something that's intrusive, something that's in people's like spaces, something that would be an obstruction. But the reality is it's just very intense and has a strong force behind it in a positive way. Now, this is you unnecessarily putting a cap on it and holding it back, because sometimes other people can make us feel like our inner power, our core roots of who we are, is somehow bringing them down, somehow going to take away from their light. Now, that's their own problem, their own insecurity. No one's saying they can't shine as well. If they are feeling insecure, they're not focused on their own thing. They're only focused on the idea of control, and that type of concept. So again, this is you lovingly, the intention is loving because you just want to be there for other people or other situations and say, okay, well, I'll build up a little of a wall. You know what? I don't want to get in the way. It's their time to shine. And there's a lot of sweetness behind that intention. But here's the reality. That's not how it's meant to work in this universe for anybody. We are all meant to be the best version of ourselves at all times for not only ourselves, but in the end, it ultimately helps the whole, the society. We all benefit from being the best versions of ourselves. And as my spirit guide put it, it's not necessary for you to create those walls, nor necessary to view your inner light, your opinion, your inner power as intrusive. So when you feel like you have something to share and say, when you feel like extra good about yourself, do not apologize. Stop building those walls, stop hiding it, and stop viewing it as something that, like, it's like sometimes, when people in some circumstances get jealous when they'll be like, so let's say there's a group of people and somebody will sort of be frustrated at someone else always taking the limelight. And I'm not talking about somebody who's not aware of how to conversationally share amongst many people, but some people really got that shine. And somebody else might not invite them to a circumstance because they'll be like, ugh, I don't want them near. And at first you think, oh no, am I in the way? Am I annoying? Little do you know, they're jealous because they feel you'll take away the limelight from them. You're not taking anything away. People are welcome to pay attention to them. They're not focused on their own light, their own shine, and how to bring that out. You shouldn't have to apologize because you're at a different stage in your, your journey in your life than they are. I mean, that's fine. They're welcome to have their moment to shine, but like, you don't need to apologize for your progression, for your inner being able to tap into it. So it's very much that sort of energy of just being like, you know what, you showing up to the party anyways and being like, you know what, I don't want to apologize. I did nothing wrong. Nothing wrong. You're creating a confrontation that's not there, and I'm not going to apologize. That's your problem. That's a you problem. That's not mine. You go work out your own stuff, and I'm going to be a little radiant sun. That's pretty much your new mantra. I'm going to be a little radiant sun. Now, moving on with that idea, again, we talk about how there's a sort of association with everything. Over here, these are kind of together and kind of separate. I'll be clear in 1 second. So in the Six of Swords in reverse, this is the idea of a feeling of being stuck, and that you need to go look back at something from the beginning, very much again that root concept, something in the past, and sort of deal with it, fix it in order to get unstuck and move forward. Because something is sort of pulling you back, holding you back from the past. Again, good comparison is, again, we use that example of somebody, not being beneficial in our life, sort of holding us back, maybe like an ex, and then we're including friendships as well. And you saying, you know what? This isn't working for me. I think I just keep giving chances, or I keep apologizing, or I keep letting someone get away with something. I don't think this is I'm not this person anymore. I'm someone who defines their space and their interactions and their friendships, and I'm not somebody who lets somebody else get all the advantages. I deserve the advantages in life. I'm going to enjoy them. That type of thing, right? And you dealing with it, facing it, and dealing with the circumstance. Do they have to deal with it in person? My spirit guide said, not in the least. So what that means essentially is you're going to look back at your past. I understand if it's hard. You don't have to go into too much detail. We're not trying to make this a difficult process. I do have on my Patreon a meditation about how to face and destroy fears, and it's also non-specific, so that if that's overwhelming to look at that, you don't have to get into the details. We're not trying to, re-cause discomfort. But going back on, you're going to look back and go, what is something that I keep just saying, like lying back and going, okay, I'll just let that happen. And I don't really want that to happen. I don't want to say that anymore. I don't want to allow that to happen. I don't want to be that person anymore that just lets it happen. And don't think of, well, I have to allow them to, come to the party because of this obligation. Don't think about those things. Just think about what you want. Maybe write it down and say, I don't like this, and I don't want to do this, and I don't want to be that person. Be very declarative. Just say it, write it in a sentence, acknowledge it, and take a moment and sort of set that intention in yourself. Remember, when we set that intention in yourself, you can literally say out loud to yourself, I set the intention that I don't want this anymore. And that is often enough. And I would highly recommend putting some sort of like emotion behind it, being like, this universe, this is how I feel. I don't want this no more. And sort of unplug, so to speak, that thing that keeps pulling you from the back. Because this is the thing that was in a good way, because we don't want to build a shaky foundation going forward. This is sort of removing the thing that isn't benefiting you anymore. So not only can you move forward, but as you move forward and build something better, you have a really solid thing to work with. And that this type of thing isn't going to happen again, nor would you, if it did pop up, you'd ever have to you're sort of cutting the repeating loop, so to speak. You're removing it. You're getting rid of it out of your situation. But let's talk about the Justice card in reverse. This one is about the idea of things not being fair for you, which I think is really interesting. This is something important to remember when it comes to tarot. It can kind of go any way, so to speak. And in many cases, this card represents the idea of an individual seeing their life as unfair and feeling frustrated by that. But in this circumstance, it's not about you saying that, why did they get this and I got that type of mentality. It's actually more of a reality of you're not fairly getting something. Something's not being put in your favor, and it shouldn't be that way. Now, these two, my spirit guide said, are associated, something to do with the past, that unclogging, that unplugging, and something to do with the reality that it's true. You didn't get the fair circumstance, the fair, whatever you deserved, so to speak. And again, remember, we don't want to get too lost in the past, but sometimes it's just enough to acknowledge and say, you know what? That was not right. I see that. I don't want it. I'm done. You know what I mean? And acknowledging that and going forward and saying, when I see that, I'm going to get what I deserve. I'm going to acknowledge when somebody is, again, when we talk about the very beginning, making me think that it's in my head that something's not working out or something's not equal trade. A good comparison, if we want to talk about the opposite of this energy rather than just the Justice card in reverse, is I would highly recommend taking on the energy of the Two of Cups upright. This is whether it be for, usually it's people related. I guess Justice card is more synonymous with any situation, but we're just going to use the Two of Cups for an example here. Whether it be another individual or situation, the Two of Cups is I put in energy, I get it back, an equal amount. I put in a certain amount of motion and intention, I get that back in an equal amount. And it just being a really nice, fair system of everybody gets what they deserve, and the more we put in, the more we benefit from it. It's that type of scenario, and being like, you're more than welcome to receive that and deserve that, but you are allowed to say, hey, this isn't working out the way I wanted it to, and I won't be a part of this. Goodbye. I'm not going to be a part of your scenario. You're not going to keep me around and use more of my energy just because it benefits you and I don't get that better half. I'm moving on. I'm going to go find my fair trade, my equal exchange type of scenario. So again, this is acknowledging something from the past that has associated with this. Over here we have the not shine, or you're welcome to shine a light, and this, you weren't before, but now is your time. You're not being intrusive. Don't build those walls. Let yourself be open and free as much as possible. And also about that trusting yourself and the intuition, and that knowing you'll always make your way to the truth and trusting your gut. I highly recommend, this is why I just am so passionate about meditation and spirit realm stuff. I highly recommend going to the spirit realm to do a lot of this stuff and talking to your spirit guides to do some exercises. They can do some stuff there that you can literally be a part of and see, and it can really cathartically help you in that kind of way, just see it and be a part of the process. But I also recommend, which you can do by going to the description below for my intuition training course, but I also recommend doing a meditation where you focus on concepts like, imagine yourself with this inner light. You're really connecting to your inner light, right? And you're thinking of that inner light being filled with all your thoughts and your feelings. You could just say some random opinions in there. You're going to think it. You're just sort of feeding it, if you will, by putting that intention there. This is what I think. This is what I feel. I have something that I shine and I can't hold it back. I don't want to hold it back. I'm special. I have value, that type of concept. And you're going to think of yourself with a wall. You know what I mean? And once you see that wall, so to speak, right? You're going to imagine it around you, and then you're going to literally visualize it being knocked down. So you're going to visualize yourself, a wall around it, and then knocking it down. I actually highly recommend, something that would actually be a great pairing for this is on my Patreon. I have an entire guided meditation about how to remove your biggest psychic blockage, but that works perfectly with anything. And it's the concept of being able to understand that you can see it and knock it down. That's a great association. And sometimes you're just doing that can sort of break into the unconsciousness to literally break down those walls and help you then have a better foot in the right direction in order to fully thrive and connect to that idea of being okay, I really can feel and understand. I'm literally breaking down walls. I am therefore at my best shining capacity. So anyways, I love this for you. Good for you. Like we said, you were right all along. You're amazing. Now's your time to shine. And do a little bit of mending of the past, and also currently having a little trust within yourself and seeing that. And also, it's a great exercise moving forward to know that you don't want what could be. You want what is. And I mean, in some ways, there's a could be of dreaming, but if someone keeps promising you or a circumstance keeps promising you, you're nope, I've given a chance, some time, this is what it is, this isn't what I want it, what it is. You know what I mean? So anyways, I love you. I am wishing you the best. Please give this video a like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. And let's get ready for group number 3. Group number 3. Let's look at some powerful messages from your spirit guides by looking at the cards. We have the Oracle card, Movement in reverse. The 10 of Pentacles upright. The 9 of Cups in reverse. The Star card in reverse, and the 10 of Wands upright. I'm looking at these two. Looking at these two. Ooh, you have some 10s too. Okay, give me just one moment to look at the details of these cards as well as consult my spirit guides. Okay. All right, let's get into this. So, interesting. Yeah, okay. Sorry, I'm just sorting how I want to talk about this. Okay, so first, the Oracle card movement in reverse. This is actually a fantastically positive message when we need to hear it most. This is that feeling when you are trying to move forward and you feel like you take one step forward, you move 2 steps back, you move 3 steps forward, you move 5 steps back. And it's sort of this back and forth that can feel very frustrating. It can feel like you're not making progression. It can often put people in a pessimistic mindset where they're only focused on moving backwards and they're not aware there's still a sense of moving forward. It's frustrating. It's annoying. But here's the thing. One, it's a valuable lesson that life is not linear. And sometimes what can seem like a back and forth is actually totally working out in your advantage. And in time, you will see that and connect to that and all that jazz. I can actually talk about confirmation out with the star card in reverse, but we'll get more into that later. But let's focus on the deeper meaning of it's not just about the idea of like, don't worry, it's all working out the way it needs to. It's actually more specifically about the idea that sometimes we're kind of pulled back and forth because we're needing to look back at all the little things, that we've been pulled back and forth in, that there's actually hidden sort of treasure, if you will, that you've sort of overlooked, and you're constantly being pulled back because it's like the universe going like, hey, whoa, you didn't get all the information you needed, you didn't get all the help you needed, and so on and so forth. And by looking back at that, you will then therefore benefit from it. Now, specifically, my spirit guide said that there is some stuff in the past that you've kind of revisited. Have they revisited, or they need to revisit it? They've already revisited it. Always. Okay. So revisited it. You've already revisited it, but you're going to revisit it again because there's something you haven't fully gained from it. And you're not actually going backwards. It's just the universe going, hold on. You're looking for something. It's right here. Let's focus over here. You see what I'm saying? It also helps us. I think this is a great thing to process because instead of viewing life as not easy or feeling like, why is this happening to me? Little do you know, it's just working out in a slightly different way. And the more you realize it's not of inconvenience, but helping you develop a skill to sort of squeeze all the benefit out of every circumstance you're experiencing that you will bring later in life, you're actually gaining not only a valuable lesson, but actually everything's going better than you realize. Again, we have that confirmation over here. We'll talk about it more in a second. But again, it's about understanding everything's fine. You're not being pulled back and forth, but you are being pulled back to revisit it specifically for help. Now, going forward, we have the 10 of Pentacles. You can see how these two are associated with one another. Now, my spirit guide kept extensively saying it's about family you're living with. And I said, what if they're not living with their family? Can it be someone else, or is it specifically about family even if you're not living with it? My spirit guide said, you don't have to be living with them, but it is about family. But they kept pointing out living with them. So they said, because this is a general reading. So they said, it's just specifically family associated, but if it's not, you're not specifically, sorry, I'm not trying to be redundant. Point is, they were very adamant about a lot of you guys living with them. So going back on, there's a financial sort of opportunity, if you will, very financially beneficial, that is underlying and hidden within the family. Now, this could be anything from an actual job opportunity that's quite beneficial. Maybe, is it directly with a family member? No, it would be indirectly. Okay, my spirit guide said, so maybe it's like a friend of a friend, or they know a place they can give you a reference or something like that. Or it could be a fantastic idea, and they throw out an idea, and you could really use that to your benefit. That's another example of that kind of concept. But some sort of idea, indirect opportunity, something hidden around, but it's associated with family, has like a huge financial benefit waiting for you. And you sort of need to kind of dig through, maybe talk to some of your family, maybe just kind of think back to some conversations you've had. Sometimes just setting that intention and then keeping your ears open for when someone says something that it like sticks out to you. Follow that. It's something big and juicy is waiting for you, and you just need to keep your ears out for that type of thing. Again, we talk about that back and forth kind of concept. Hey, for all you know, maybe you were forced to move back in with them, and at first you're like, oh, what's happening with my life? Oh, I hate this. I wanted to move out. And little do you know, you move back with them. Your family members are like, hey, you should do this. And it ends up being extremely financially profitable. And that's why you moved back, in order to be in that circumstance and be open to it. You know what I mean? Everything working out for a beautiful reason. Anyways, going forward though, we have the 9 of Cups in reverse. Now these actually 2 cards are very similar to each other. So we're going to talk about them, then we're going to talk about this card, and we're going to talk about sort of it all together. So in the 9 of Cups in reverse, my spirit guide said that somebody, I asked if it was family associated. They said like, maybe like a small percentage of you, it could be family associated, but we're focusing more on like an outside circumstance outside of this 10 of Pentacles situation. There's someone sort of taking up all the good opportunities for you. They're just taking up everything. It's a lot of sense of selfishness, a lot of like possession over all the good stuff while you're getting crumbs, so to speak. And this is actually affecting you quite a bit, not only because you're not getting any of the benefit of, and we're talking about, I'm assuming this is not personal, right? Not personal, at least. Okay, that's what I thought. So this is not them going, you watching the video, I want to take all your opportunities. It's not like that. It's just somebody, think of like somebody, on a holiday, there's like a bunch of presents, and they're like, and I'll take that present, I'll take that present, I'll take that. And you're like, whoa. We all get our own presents. What's going on? You know what I mean? It's very much that type of energy. But it is affecting you not only in what you're not getting, but over here in the 10 of Wands upright, this is them taking away all your energy. You're sort of having a depletion. Let me just double check this with my spirit guide. Yeah, my spirit guide was like, yes, you're correct, keep going. Sort of a depletion of energy, and you're like, man, why am I feeling like I'm unmotivated? Maybe you're more tired. It's because as they sort of take this away and you're not getting any benefit from it, it's also taking away sort of, think of each interaction you're having in life having its own sort of, think of like a video game. It's like there's like energy points, and after a while, you start to get depleted. You need new energy points. And so when you get these opportunities, you start to get to bump up in life, you get those energy points. They're taking away your energy points, essentially. Again, it is not personal. They're doing their own thing. They've got their own agenda. It's not specifically towards you, but still. This is you needing to sort of take that back, if you will. Notice it, step in, say, nope, I like that too, that's not fair. And again, it's not against the other person, but stepping in, and if you feel any sort of like, well, I already promised them, like, so let's say you're working at a situation where somebody gets to have the better places in the job to work, they get to have a better lunch, they get to have a lot of betters. And eventually you start to speak up to your manager, whoever, and go, I think I want that. And if they go, well, I already promised, I'm trying to think of a name nobody has. Cloud. I promised Cloud. Unless your name is Cloud, love your name, beautiful name. Cloud. And then you being like, well, that's great. I don't really care about Cloud. Cloud has this, and this. So you're saying it's okay, I don't get this. And you sort of like challenge them, and they're like, okay, you can have this. And you sort of taking back these opportunities in your life and getting them back, so that you not only have your energy points, but you're sort of taking a stand for yourself and what you deserve. You're sort of actively practicing saying, I deserve the best, and I'm not going to wait around in life to have things handed out to me. I'm going to take them no matter what and enjoy the best out of life in that circumstance. It's also a great reminder too, because if you ever feel like sort of there's like a bump in the road, it's a great trust building exercise to be like, oh, no worries, there's a little bump. Well, I smooth down that bump with my bulldozer of fantastic positive attitude. And I let people know what I deserve and I receive it no matter what. I can trust myself. I can trust the universe is going to help me out with that. My spirit guides are going to help me out with that. I just need to take the initiative. Now, I'm not saying that's going to be the rest of your life, but it is a valuable thing to sort of take on mentally and understand. So now going on to the Star card. Now you're going to see how this sort of all wraps into itself. In the Star card in reverse, this is a fantastic card. It's also, this card in particular, is this not so gorgeous? I love jellyfish. Tell me if you love jellyfish in the comments below. I love jellyfish. I think they are just such ethereal, magical, gorgeous looking, beautiful babies. I love them so much. Anyways, so in the Star card in reverse, this implies this idea that if we have sort of a path in life, if you will. Now keep in mind, remember, time is only perceived in a linear way. It's not actually existing in a linear way. Don't view things in one single path. We're just describing as that. Think of it as a path where there's a ton of timelines all lined up one after the other. So your path might go here and then here, because it's finding timelines that you benefit from and choices you've made before you've come here in the physical realm, as well as choices you're making in the current world. And so your path is sort of developing as we go, but it is still a path where you feel it. You feel like you're in sync with the choices you're making, so on and so forth. But when it's in reverse, it's that feeling where you're unaware that it's all working out and you're actually doing fantastic. A good comparison of this would be, let's say unfortunately you were trying different things out in life and they didn't work out, and you just kind of feel not great about yourself because you tried all these different things. You're like, man, I've tried all these different careers. None of it added up to anything. I wasted my time. But then later down the road, you end up being in a circumstance where you need to look back at all of those skills and knowledge you developed, and you can actually use it to your benefit for the circumstance you're now in. So you didn't waste your time. You didn't fail. You kind of needed to have things not work out so that you would then jump and move and develop a new skill. But all of those things forced you to jump, gain a new skill, jump, gain a new skill. And now you have all these skills that you're benefiting from as a collective now. That is a great comparison, because in the moment, you probably did not feel like you knew what you were doing in life. You probably did not feel like it was adding up to anything and didn't emotionally feel that connection to feeling. You might have felt lost even. But then you look back at the person you were and you're like, oh, wait, I was killing it. I was doing great. I was doing amazing. I didn't even know I was making all the right decisions, even when it felt wrong. This is actually a huge reason why I talk about this at length in my intuition training course. This is why I'm so passionate about not relying solely on emotions. Emotions, as my spirit guides beautifully put it, are the byproduct of energy. So if we all are experiencing the same energy, we are all going to have a different emotional reaction depending on who we are, how we lived our life, ourselves as individuals, all that jazz. All that jazz. And so it's not a reliable narrative to just say when something feels good or stuff like that. It's often good to develop the ability to perceive things in multiple ways in order to put together a very congruent concept of what is actually happening to truly see the truth of the circumstance. So again, this is a great example of being like, I don't feel that way. You might not feel that way, but that doesn't mean it's actually happening or it's not actually going great. So again, this is the idea that you're doing great, sweetie. You're doing amazing. You're really on your path. You're in your flow more than you know. And this is heavily associated with that path. You're sort of destined, it's in your path right now to start taking initiative to say no, I'm going to sit in the front seat. No, I'm going to have the better circumstance at work. There's no reason why I can't. No, I'm going to do this. And just taking back those opportunities for yourself. Again, it's not a personal attack towards this other person. They've got their own life lessons to learn. This is one of those beautiful moments where you start to see how life really intertwines with one another. You might be learning the lesson to defend yourself and take what's yours and not sit back and therefore gain energy. Again, it's not about taking, it's just about, well, I'll just say taking. We know what we're talking about energy-wise when we talk about that. But then simultaneously, this other person needs to learn that it's not necessary for them to control every other possibility and just sort of sit on it just because they can. They need to develop a certain level of like, everybody shares, everybody is going to benefit. They can't just have it all be about them. And that's what they're learning. Do you see what I'm saying? And we're all sort of helping and benefiting in life from one another. So beautiful. Love that for you. So again, remember, you're not going back. We already talked about that destiny. Everything's going great for you right now. But remember we talked about the star card, not being aware. Now you can be more aware that it is working out. Look back for those hidden treasures, talk to the family, look around, figure out what that could be for that financial, it's a big financial opportunity. That's what my spirit guides were saying. And take back that energy and opportunities in general when it comes to that other individual, when you feel like you're coming up really short in circumstances in life. And remember, that can go, and maybe we're just talking about career, right? But you can take that same concept in life. Be aware. I mean, I don't think I need to say this personally, and I'm sure you're a very well-adjusted person. Don't then become them and take every opportunity from someone else. But you don't have to sit back if you feel like things are coming up short for you. If you feel that way, you can change it, and you're more than welcome to. Why do they deserve everything and you deserve nothing? Not at all. We're all allowed to. There's more than enough for everyone to go around. You know what I mean? So I love that for you. And I hope you enjoyed this reading. I love you so much. Please leave this video a like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell because it helps you see all my videos. I'm wishing you the best. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. And let's get ready for group number 4. Group number 4. Let's find out the powerful messages from your spirit guides by looking at the cards. We have Coming to Life Oracle card in reverse. The 7 of Swords in reverse. Ooh, Queen of Swords in reverse. Ace of Cups upright. Oh, and King of Wands in reverse. These 2 cards are what you'll often hear me refer to as mirroring cards or mirroring patterns. I talk about this at length in my tarot training course. So there's certain sort of card patterns or things to kind of become aware of when it comes to your own personal reading that add a certain level of whether it like be deeper meaning, or in this particular case I also call these confirming cards, or I would see these as confirming cards. So when you have 2 cards that repeat, whether it be double the same exact card, like 2 King of Wands, especially if they're both reversed, them being upright and reversed is its own meaning. That's like a different subject for another day, or if you want to enjoy the course, it's there. But anyways, going back to what we're talking about here though, cards can be mirroring even if they're different, but the meaning or energy is the same. And essentially it points or highlights like the importance of something, it repeating it. If we look at this, you could interpret this as like it starts where it ends, where it starts, like sort of important, it being like the sandwich of importance amongst everything. I will look into those details because it can be interpreted so many different ways. But let me first look at the details as well as consult my spirit guides. So just give me one moment. It is a sandwich, that's what I thought. Yeah. Okay, I totally get why this is a sandwich. Okay, so if I were to give a theme to this reading, I would definitely say it's about letting go of your grip, so to speak, and having a certain level of trust that it's all going to work out. But let's get into the details of that, because while theses are great, they don't quite have the same punch if you are not aware of the details. This is again why I'm very passionate about tarot, the things I talk about in my intuition training course. I am just such a believer and have seen such results within both myself, but the countless people that I've aided in this, that if you're more aware of how things are developing, if you're a part of the discussion of your own life and what it all means and how it's adding up, it has a greater effect of, so you want change if you're like aware of why the change is more effective, it's quicker, it doesn't repeat, you're aware of it. And then that's when you start to become somebody who's like a master manifester, somebody who's like aware of how to use it to their advantage. You get what I'm saying. And there's so many levels of this, but this is a huge reason why. So let's go deeper into this, is what I'm trying to say. So in Coming to Life Oracle card in reverse, this is about the idea that when sometimes things are starting new, you're going to see us talk about that concept again here. And I would even say potentially here in this card. When things start new, a new phase of your life, it can be fragile, it can be gentle, or it needs a gentle touch, so to speak. And you have to let go a little bit and not be so involved in all the details or sort of manhandling, or we could say woman handling or person handling. I'm being facetious here, but you get what I'm saying. Something, and being able to realize that when you're doing that, it's kind of like you've started a new garden, right? And you're going in there and you're overly pulling out all the weeds, constantly poking all the seeds to see if they're growing a little bit, and you're messing with the process and over tenderizing, I guess you could say, over gardening, and then this sort of damages the growth process. And it's better after you've planted the seeds and you've started this new phase to sort of back up and let things go as they will, even if, and again, going back to that example with the seeds, you can't see for a little while if they've germinated enough, if they've fully planted and grown. So because you can't see that and you're unaware, there's a certain level of just having to back up and hope that they're growing to the surface until you know. And so we talk about the idea that if you get too involved, you can kind of mess with this new phase and it's not necessary, but you're also gaining a really valuable, and I would argue if you're in this type of mindset, a hard lesson, which is a certain level of trust. Now, the cool thing is, this is weirdly like a very positive time in your life because it's so easy, and I'm putting quotes around this because it doesn't feel easy when you're struggling with wanting to be so involved and sort of controlling of your own life. It doesn't feel easy to let go. Initially, it will get easier, but technically when you're basically being told like you're doing great, just back up, don't think about it too deeply, let it all work itself out. Essentially, you don't have to do anything. You just sit back, relax, and the universe will take care of you. Your spirit guides are taking care of you. My spirit guide's like shaking their head, yes. And all that jazz. Like, things are actually quite similar for you right now in this phase in your life compared to other people. But again, you're learning to accept that and just let that be and sort of chill out. You know what I mean? But it doesn't, I say it's like easy, but it feels difficult due to that. Now, we're going to talk about that feeling, though, of difficulty, where it will better help you understand why you're feeling that's difficult in these cards. So in the Seven Swords in reverse, this is about the idea of keeping secrets. Now, when it's upright, think of these going inside and that being a very uncomfortable, painful process, not what you exactly want to have. Now, in reverse, you see them falling out. They don't. They're not affecting this individual anymore. They're not bringing them any pain. They're chill, they're relaxed. So this is about the idea. We're just looking at the imagery and the concept. So there are some secrets that you've been holding on to, and it's time to put them out. My spirit guide says it's time now for you to be your most authentic self. And because you're being your most sorry. Sorry, I'm like going through a bunch of information in my head. When it comes to your expressing yourself, when you're holding on to these, you're only hurting yourself essentially. And it's no more, you're not benefiting from it anymore. You might have kept it a secret for a time because this is what you needed in order to process information or blossom or get to where you were at in the next phase. But now it's getting to a point where it's no longer helping you, it's doing the opposite. So now it's time to be expressive of that. Now keep that in mind. That's very understandable. That would feel difficult to initially express it, but that still doesn't mean that you that you shouldn't do it and that you're not going to be better off. And in the end, it will be easier. And in the end, you will be the best and fullest version of yourself. But it is now time, my spirit guide said, for you to be your most authentic self. Now, moving forward, that idea continues again, but again, a fluctuation that's really important to talk about when we look at the Ace of Cups upright and the Queen of Swords in reverse. Now, we're going to mostly focus on this imagery of the hummingbird right here. This little cutie right here. So the hummingbird spiritually, actually hummingbird as an animal spirit guide is fantastic. Highly recommend. The spiritual meaning though of the hummingbird in this circumstance is about this like idea of like effervescent fun. There's like a part of you that is like frolicking and relaxed and silly and just like it really has, when they express their sort of enthusiasm and fun in life, it comes across in this kind of way. But right now, this is sort of being, I don't want to say subdued, but there is something that maybe it's like hard for you to tap into right now due to the Ace of Cups. So the Ace of Cups is representing this new emotional circumstance you're going through. It's a new emotion. It's difficult to process. It's new because you haven't dealt with it before and you're going through it. And so it's also making it hard to tap into this part of yourself that's so important to who you are. But here's the thing. This is why this card is so important, because there are, oh my God, sorry about that interruption. Anyways, going back to what we were talking about. Over here, this is something that is really fantastic to learn in life, because there are a lot of like unseen sort of forces and transitions we go through. And because we are unaware, again, we talked about in the very beginning, being more aware just makes the process a million times easier. When we're unaware, we just think that we're going through it. It's the worst time ever. What's happening? What went wrong? Because we're unaware. A fantastic example of this is when it comes to spiritual upgrades. I talked about this at length on my channel. It's in the spiritual talks section. It's like spiritual talks, spiritual upgrades, something like that. You can look that up. But you actually, as you like figure out life lessons and so on and so forth, you are no longer on like spiritual anatomy level, I'm putting quotes around this is the best way I can describe it, are compatible with who you are now. So you basically get upgraded, so the new version of who you are has a compatible spiritual anatomy. I guess that's like the only way I can put it. And when you are going through this transition, it is insanely uncomfortable. It can create a lot of weird energies that gets then interpreted emotionally as like anxiety, a lot of things like that. It's a very disconcerting sort of, it's not a fun time. But in reality, you're actually going to feel better. You're going to feel more like yourself. There is no other way. If you didn't get upgraded, you would just be very uncomfortable. So the upgrade is like helping you. That's like an example. Now, if you don't know what's happening, it just feels like, you know, the end of the world. It's not like it doesn't feel great when it's happening. But it is extremely useful, and I speak for myself as someone who's like very on a, you know, first name basis conversationally with their spirit guides, and you can too. Being able to go, hey, I'm feeling weird, and then being like, oh, you just got a spiritual upgrade, you're good. And then I'm like, oh, okay, so I'm just going to be a little uncomfortable, and they'll be like, oh, for 3 days. And I'll be like, okay. So then when I'm feeling that, I don't overthink it's something else. That's like a good example. So you're sort of going through a transitional thing where this new emotion is coming in, but because you don't have sort of the supporting factor of the effervescent kind of fun, chill version of who you are over here, what was I going to say? Of this part of yourself, you feel out of balance. Now, my spirit guide said that you need to experience and kind of process this emotion first to then interweave it back with this in order for it all to come together, between the fun, silly side of yourself and this new emotion, for it to all to come together, but you kind of sort of need to just process this emotion singularly by itself. So understand, you didn't lose a part of yourself. This isn't gone. Everything's okay. Nothing's wrong. You're just needing to view one thing by itself singularly and then pair it back later on with this side of yourself, and it's all coming together. This is sort of information that is acting as what I just described before. Hey, by the way, you're going through this, everything's okay. This is how you're processing things in order for it to all come together in a more seamless way. So if you experience anything, try not to go to the extreme and think it's this, and this. Again, feels difficult, but everything's okay. Now going on, we go back to the King of Wands, which is very much somebody who is trying to control situations. They are feeling like they need to be a part of every process and step. This comes with the concept of letting go, letting the universe do its thing. Again, similar to what we talked about, that sandwiching concept on either side, both of them being a very important concept and idea. So you're starting this new thing. You're revealing who you truly are on a deep level, and you're no longer holding back. You're experiencing new emotions, and you don't quite have the support of some parts of yourself, so that's a new experience and can get interpreted in many ways through your own personal experience. Either way, no matter how uncomfortable it feels, everything's okay. You're doing great. You have to a certain degree, let it go, let it work itself out. You don't need to know all the details right now. You just need to trust and know that that little seed in the bottom of the soil that you've planted is totally successfully growing and coming up to the surface. You're going to have a bountiful, abundant garden of every single thing you need, emotionally, energetically, financially, love, everything, support, all of it. It's coming to the surface, and everything's okay. And while some of these things will make you feel something different, that doesn't mean that the process itself has to be viewed in that way, and it is that way. Just let go, relax, receive the, sort of comfort and care where you can, whether that be through a friend, a favorite TV show, relaxing, and try not to be judgmental of yourself and know it's all working out. So if you don't have all the answers right now, just keep saying to yourself mantra-wise, I don't need to know everything happening right now, but I know it is as a whole working out. It's all working out to my benefit. This is what my spirit guides always say. They always say, you'll be very happy with the end result. You're practicing finding trust and relaxation despite emotional discomfort saying to you it's otherwise. And this will help you view in time. This is a valuable lesson to learn. This is like one of the greatest lessons you can learn. To feel some form of emotional discomfort and be able to almost talk to that version of yourself and say, I see we're feeling this, but while I'm feeling this way, that doesn't mean everything's going wrong. It's the end of everything. This is the rest of my life. And being able to talk to that version of yourself saying, we're just going to be a little uncomfortable today and we'll make it through it and it will get better and this is temporary, is one of the greatest things you can learn. It will make moving forward significantly more comfortable. But more importantly, as you do see the end result and see everything's okay, there will be times in your life where you'll learn, man, I just want things to be easier, and they get to be. And I will be in the best possible knowledgeable position to understand that when things are easier, well, go figure, you sit back and just let things be easy. And you'll have developed that ability of being able to sit back and just trust. Because that's the reality. If you want things to be easier, that's what it is, sitting back and relaxing. So you're gaining both the comfort of being like, hey, I know there's the compulsion to want to control. You don't need to. And guess what? It's all adding up to something better. And it will even teach you a lesson that will then be carried forward that you get to benefit from. So essentially, subtext, everything's easy for you. You're doing great. Be your most authentic self. Things are changing a little wild, but don't worry. It's actually all fine. And being able to be more aware of yourself. And I love that. I love you. I hope you enjoyed this reading. Please give it a thumbs up, a comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Wish you the best. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Goodbye.